Happy Tuesday. Dr. Stacy Holwager here, joined by a very special repeat guest that I am so excited to have back on our Tuesday night Zoom. This is Dr. Don Verholst. I'm going to share some information with him about you here in just a minute. I'm going to let let him take the floor and of course be able to let you hear his version of LifeWave's science and technology, how this patch works, how it can help you, all the frequently asked questions that you're going to have. And of course, we'll have time for Q&A at the end. But before we get started, I do want to share our disclaimer. So I am not a medical doctor. Dr. Don is a medical doctor, but he's not your medical doctor, right? I have a PhD in integrative medicine, a PhD in functional medicine. And so we're not here to treat, to cure, to diagnose anything that's going on with you at all. The information that we're sharing tonight is for informational purposes. If you have any questions concerning your specific health condition or medications, anything like that, please, of course, check with your doctor or practitioner, your healthcare practitioner. And if you're pregnant or nursing, same thing. So with that being said, just so you understand the disclaimer here, I do want to give Dr. Don a very welcome introduction. And I want to share with you some of his accolades here in his bio, because man, he's an amazing person. I have personally known Dr. Don for, almost 15 years now. We have worked together in the past, not as closely as we do now, which I'm so excited about to be able to work with you the way I do now. But Dr. Don is a graduate of University of Michigan and Wayne State Medical School, where he graduated with his MD degree. Dr. Don has been a chief science officer for several wellness companies over the last 40 years, where he actually formulated products, formulated things, and consulted on many different health projects. Dr. Don is the author of 5 books and hosted a wellness TV program with his wife, Susan, for over 10 years on the TCT Global Network. He's also licensed ordained minister. So if you want to get married tonight, we can take care of that too. No, I'm just joking. Who's taught on Bible health for the last 25 years. Dr. Don also writes and produces music and loves to share his music and bring joy to many people. And of course, I'm a testament to that. You join us at any one of our retreats or any of our conventions or conferences, you can definitely find Dr. Don with his guitar playing the most amazing music possible. So again, if you're just joining us, this is Dr. Don Verholst. He is a MD, and he is going to be sharing LifeWave's science and technology, how this patch works, his experience, and all of the frequently asked questions at the end. So more towards 8:30 Eastern, so in about 30 minutes. I will be looking through the question section, the chat. And if you have specific questions, you can ask those there. Just remember that we will not be referencing any diseases or syndromes. Please tell me your symptoms that you have, things you're experiencing, and we can address those. So thank you, Dr. Don, for being here tonight. What an honor. Take it away. We're so excited to hear from you.
Thank you. It's an honor to be with you again on this broadcast and to share with people our LifeWave story. It's been absolutely life-changing for us. But I started out highly skeptical personally. As you said, I've been doing natural alternatives for 40 years. I'm an MD, and my wife heard about the patches and heard about how they can help reverse aging. And I got little bits and pieces of it. And I said, Susan, I can't tell people they're going to put a Band-Aid on their neck and it'll heal everything they have. I mean, I'm a physician and I'm a pastor, and it sounded crazy to me. So if you're skeptical, please stay tuned and listen up. And if you know skeptical people, please stay tuned and be patient with them. Because I went and studied the patches, basically the same reason that the atheist reads the Bible to prove it's wrong. And I found out when I studied and looked at the studies that there's real science there. And I couldn't find anything that I disagreed with. And I started to get puzzled about that at first, and then excited and considered using it. And we started using the patches. And what got our attention in the beginning was, and let me just tell you how your bodies work. When you're made, a sperm meets an egg, and that's your first cell. That's you. It's got all your genetic information in it. And that cell divides into 2 and 4 and 8 and 16. And eventually some of those cells become skin cells, and some become eye cells, and some become heart cells, and whatever you need. It's called differentiation. but the body always retains a number of rejuvenating cells that go your entire life, and they can become any cell you need. That's a powerful concept, and that's how your body renews and restores itself. The problem is, by the time you're about 35, you've lost half of the activity and number of these rejuvenating cells. By the time you're 65, you've lost 90%. So we've known for a long time that if we could take these cells and somehow activate them, somehow increase their number, make them more effective, it's going to be healthy for you. And I've been a big fan of this. I've been studying this science for about 15 or 20 years and recommending it to people. The problem with it is that if you're collecting these cells, which is the normal way it's been done, you centrifuge them and concentrate your own old, worn out, rejuvenating cells and then inject them back in. Or if embryos were used, there's some ethical things there, and it's needles, and it's extremely expensive. And by the way, now you can't do it in the United States. It's illegal. And if you're going to go out of the country, it's going to cost you $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. So I knew about all of that, and I was a proponent of it. It was working well for things like, for example, your joints, good at localized things, and they were starting to improve different systems and work on it, but with some success. Well, the patches actually work on a very simple principle. And it's the same principle that when you walk out into the sunlight, the UV in the sun hits your skin and makes vitamin D. That's photobiomodulation. Photo light, bio, your body, modulation, changing your body, making vitamin D. It's very well known. And it was that principle that David Schmidt, the inventor of this technology, knew about. He's a genius in bioelectric kinds of things. And we are bioelectric beings. We are electric flow. When the flow is flowing right, we have ease. When it's not, we have dis-ease. So we want to keep those energies flowing and things working right. Well, he was called upon in 1999 by the Department of Defense, by the Navy SEALs, to help them to get energy, because they'd be underwater for a long 36 to 48 hours without sleeping. They didn't want to use caffeine or amphetamines. So he thought of this bioelectric way to do it and actually invented this technology, which, by the way, is patented technology by him, which is very exciting. It's exclusive energy enhancer, that was called. And it was very successful, but 9/11 happened, so the funding went away. David knew he had something powerful and wanted to bring it to people to help them. And so he started LifeWave. And in 2008, the energy enhancer was adopted by the swim coach at Stanford University, and they swept the Beijing Olympics. And Michael Phelps, I believe, was wearing that patch and was actually accused of doping. And they studied the patch and found out there's nothing going in the body from the patch. It's non-transdermal. That was exciting to me, because the first question I have to ask people when I'm talking to people is, what medications are you on? What supplements are you taking? What over-the-counter things are you doing? What other modalities are you using? Because I don't want to interfere with any of those things. But there's no chemicals coming from this patch into your body. It's non-transdermal, not like an estrogen patch or a nicotine patch where those chemicals are in the patch and they're released into the body. This isn't used that way. The patch that you're showing right now, in the center of that patch is some organic amino acids in a special microcrystalline structure, so that when your body energy, your infrared, we're all making infrared all the time, and it simply uses the body as a battery to activate this crystalline structure in the patch, which forms a very specific wavelength of light reflected back into the body. And in the case of this rejuvenating cell, this rejuvenating patch, it signals a molecule called GHK copper peptide. I wish we had time to talk about that for an hour tonight, because we could. The research has been going on that since 1961. Dr. Laurent Picard dedicated his life to this GHK copper peptide, a phenomenal compound that your body makes. And it's shown to activate these rejuvenating cells. Well, we didn't know quite how to do that. Some doctors were, until recently, actually injecting 25 milligrams of this GHK copper peptide, but they've made that illegal too, I'm told now. So I don't know why, perhaps because it works. But so it's been studied and found that when you put this patch on you, it reflects, takes your body's energy, the body's just the battery, and remakes that wavelength of light. When the wavelength of light goes back in your body and you wear it for 12 hours, you take it off for 12 hours, 12 hours activation, 12 hours of rest and restoration. It's not dangerous to wear it longer than that, but you won't get 100% benefit perhaps because your body could acclimate or get used to it. You don't want that. You want a full benefit. So 12 hours on, 12 hours off. During the 12 hours on, this GHK copper peptide is being stimulated in your body. And this is activating some of those rejuvenating cells that if you're 35, you've lost half of. If you're 65, you've lost 90% of them. And believe me, you want to wake those things up. The number of cells, when you're very young, you have just so many of them. Like if a 10-year-old falls off a bike, they don't break their leg, they pop back up. They don't have chronic heart disease or arthritis or all the diseases of aging. They cut their skin and 3 days later, you can't even see the scar because they have such tremendous rejuvenating cell activity. That's what this science is designed to do. That's what this X39 patch does. And it's clinically studied. And there's over 80 clinical studies. We don't wonder what happens when you put this patch on. We know. It's going to wake up rejuvenating cells. In fact, it's going to communicate with 4,200 genes within the first 24 hours. You've got about 18,000 genes in your genome, but genes talk to other ones. So very quickly, it's through the entire genome. So it even works on that level. The more you study this, the more exciting it gets. There's a study that shows every 6 weeks you wear the X39 patch reverses the age of your heart by 8 weeks. That right there is amazing. The first time I heard that, I thought, if this was possible, everybody in the world would be rushing to get this. Everybody in the world should be rushing to get this. It is true. And we can measure your biological age right now. Your chronological age, that's how many candles you have on the birthday cake. But your biological age isn't exactly that. It's either much lower, much higher, depending on your condition. But we can prove that using these patches can help to reverse that biological age. You can look younger. I'm a living testimony of that. I'm 67, but I feel like I'm 35 again. But that didn't happen until between months 9 and 12. That's a long time to wear the patch. It was actually designed to be worn for 1 month for every decade of life. So at 67, I've lived 6 of them. I'm in my 7th. I should have used it 7 months. And the question comes up, do I quit using patches then? Well, you can. You can go back to aging the way you used to. You don't lose the gains and benefits you've gotten. But I'm telling you one thing, Dr. Stacy, I'm not going back to where I used to. I'm staying on the patch. So when I studied it, it got my attention. I said, all right, we've got to try this. But is it safe? I want to know that first of all. And because it's non-transdermal, I'll guarantee you it's completely safe. It won't interfere with other modalities you're doing or any kinds of things that you're giving your body, which is powerful to know that. You can take it with confidence. It's only waking up your own body system, which is what your body wants to do. We're just helping a natural, normal process to occur. So is it safe? It is. Is it effective? Clinically studied. You don't find that in natural alternatives. I've been doing this for 40 years. And you don't find clinical studies like this. And if you do, a lot of times they were done by the company. They're not independent. They're double-blind, placebo-controlled. Many are peer-reviewed. That's the highest level of scrutiny. This is real science. Now, if you have a huge skeptic that's like, this is no way possible, and they're out there, send them to pubmed.gov, have them search pluripotent stem cell and then look up what it does and then put the entity in there they're looking about. There's 5,000 hours of teaching. That's your government science. That's not LifeWave. That's your government. Find out if you think you're interested in waking up your own rejuvenating cells in your body. I'd recommend people to do that, especially if someone's skeptical. So is it safe? It is. Is it effective? It is. And then finally, is it affordable? If what I'm describing to you can do what it does, and it can, and it does, it would be worth $100 a day to put X39 on C7, which is where we put it because that's where the clinical studies were done, that bump at the base of your neck. But it will work anywhere on the body, but for standardization. And there's also, it's an acupuncture point in energy meridians. It's a good place to have it. That's where I wear mine. I've got it on right now. I wear it every day on C7. And it starts to work. It starts to activate your rejuvenating cells, not just preventative, but reverse aging and clinically studied. So if it was $100, it'd be a bargain, but it's only $3. The price of a cup of coffee, some people are paying more than that. It's not a question. Some people now say to me, Dr. Stacy, well, I don't know if I can afford that. I'm like, you can't afford not to do this. It's so powerful. I tell them fast a meal every day for 2 months. I triple dog dare you and take that money and put this patch on. That's how much I believe in this. But let me caution you about something. The biggest challenge is I don't know when you're going to get results with this patch. To me, that's the biggest challenge. My brother was a one patch wonder. Not very many people are, maybe 1 in 20 in my experience. And he put it on and it was life-changing. Most people are going to see noticeable results between week 3 and 6. And most commonly, there's just a general sense of well-being. That can happen right away with a lot of people. Sleeping better, maybe some skin changes, but it's going to take some time, and it's smart technology. It works on the priority in your body first, the most important thing, and then it goes to other things. The problem is you don't know what's going on in your body, and I don't know. And there's some bad things that you may never find out about, and I'm happy about that, that it will keep from manifesting in your body, but I don't know when. And I guess my favorite story is Bob Campbell, our friend. He's a mail carrier, and he's 73 years old, and he carried the mail for 30 years. And he has chronic knee and foot problems. He had many operations on both and terrible, excruciating pain on his feet. He can't even have a sheet touch his foot at night when he goes to bed. And he hears about the patches, puts them on, gets excited. Maybe this will help, but it doesn't. But he starts sleeping much better. He feels better. He got tremendous energy in the first month or two, got off a prostate medicine that he could not urinate without, which I've helped people do that. I've formulated products for that in the past. It's difficult to do. And been on it 12 years and he's off it. Wow. So he was very happy and tremendous energy. It was life-changing for him, but no change in the pain. Month 4, month 5, month 6, month 7, halfway through the 7th month, he gets up one day, he has no pain. Now, I say that to you because what if he'd have quit after 6 months and said, well, I tried, but it didn't work. So that's my challenge to you. Keep the patches on. They are powerful. And I always start with 2 patches in every situation. The X39, which is the rejuvenating patch, but the second one is the Eon, which I wear 1 inch below my belly button. That patch is for inflammation. As you may know, inflammation is a cause or promoter of every kind of disease. And so we want to keep it down just for that reason. But it's particularly important here because when you wake up rejuvenating cells, they go where the action is. And the action is where inflammation is. So they will be consumed very quickly. Unless you keep inflammation down, then you're going to get a quicker and a better result. And inflammation is not a bad thing. Acute inflammation is what heals a cut on your skin. It brings in red blood cells with oxygen and white cells for fighting infection and restructuring with all the nutrients that come in. That's good. But when inflammation becomes chronic is when it's dangerous. That's when it contributes to heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, cancer, all the big major, every major disease is either caused or enhanced by inflammation. So we want to keep that down for that reason. And also that the X39 rejuvenating cell patch is going to work much better, much more quickly and have better results when you use the 2. So that's why we call them the dynamic duo. Put the X39 on the back of your neck, put the Eon, an anti-inflammatory patch 1 inch below your belly button. And I promise you, you will not be disappointed if you keep it on long enough. But let the body have its way. It's smart technology. It goes where it's needed. So we are so excited about this. Susan and I have literally helped more people in the last year and a half of doing this than we did in the previous 10 years. Clearly, it's that powerful because it's working. So it's exciting to be part of this. I'm excited to be part of David Schmidt, the inventor's vision to reach 1 billion households. My vision now is to help him accomplish his vision. I definitely feel called to it, and the results are here. They're helping you. So what do you have to lose? You have nothing to lose. You got, $5 a day, $3 for the rejuvenating patch, and another $2 for the Eon. Folks, $5 a day for this. It is powerful. It's the best thing I've seen in 40 years of natural alternatives, and I've seen a lot of things. Nothing compares to this. It's a new paradigm. I believe it's the future in anti-aging science. I know it is. And it's clinically studied. It's safe. It's affordable. So get patching and let's get to your healthy future. With that, I'll turn it back to you, Dr. Stacy.
Oh, Dr. Don, I listened to you. I've been listening to you for many, many years. And every time I'm just like, I love listening to you. I love it. I love the way you explain things. They're so easy to understand. And I'm sure everyone here would agree with that as well, too. We can understand that. I love how you say smart technology, right? It's smart technology. Your body knows how to do that. And this just sets that in motion to help you with the process. But I also love that you brought up the X39 with the Eon. That inflammatory process, you can see that when you go to your doctor and you get your blood work done. You can see the inflammatory markers in your blood work. You can feel it in your body, right? And so that's really important that you address that and get that parasympathetic nervous system back into balance. We can see that in our clinical studies. We call this our happy patch. So balancing that nervous system, bringing the inflammatory markers down, helps those rejuvenating cells that your body has, that smart technology that your body already has inside of it, to go to work even faster, to get your results. Because we want to feel better, don't we? We all want to improve our quality of life. But Dr. Don, we talked about these two. People in the chat, I'm just going to do, there's a lot of them in here, okay? So we have, 35 minutes. But let's talk about pain, because we're getting a lot of questions about hip pain, back pain, spine pain, neck pain, wrist pain, shoulder pain, up and down, all over the body pain. So can we talk about how these three work, how IceWave works, and what would we do here to help any kind of pain in the body at all?
Yes,
Let's start
great.
there.
I love that question. We get that question often. And let me start by saying this. First of all, the X39 and Eon together, that combination eventually can do just about everything any of the other patches can do, but it's going to take longer.
Yeah.
Now, the difference is with these patches, other than the IceWave, which is the one we're going to use specifically, that's a 2-patch system. That's for pain specifically. The difference is the X39 and Eon approach is definitely dealing with the cause of the problem, not just covering symptoms. IceWave is really good at covering symptoms, and it's not as addressing to the cause, but it does do that on a limited basis too. But here's the difference. It is immediate. When you get the IceWave anti-pain patch, pain signal interrupter on properly placed, and that's the key, you'll get immediate results. And by that, I mean 20 seconds to 2 minutes has been my experience when you get it right. And there's a specific way to teach you how to do that. It's not hard. You put the tan patch on the pain, white on right, go to the right of it, start moving it around, peel half the back off and move it, hold for 20 seconds or a little longer. If you get an improvement in the pain, keep it there and try wearing it there. You wear it for 12 hours, same as the other patches. So it's a placement issue. It's a pain interrupter. It's phenomenal. This one gets people's attention because it's immediate. Now, that's not the case with X39 and Eon. Like I said, you might be a one-patch wonder, but it might take you 7 months like it did our friend Bob Campbell. So you got to make people aware of that and give them realistic expectations. As far as IceWave, for me, I've had, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but I threw my back out. And I literally was crawling from my bedroom to the kitchen, and I was in pain. I could not stand. And I didn't even think of it. And Susan says, "Why don't you put an IceWave on?" I said, I never thought of that. And I didn't have any. My sister had them. So we went and got them from my sister, put it on. And I tell you the truth, I'm embarrassed to say, I wasn't expecting anything. It wasn't 5. And I know this. I've done this before, and it's 7 to 10 days till I'm back, doing whatever I can do. But the first couple of days are bad. It wasn't 5 to 20 minutes. It was 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, completely gone. I looked at Susan. I said, "You gotta be kidding me." That's exactly how it was. And then another night I was having Charlie horses cramps in bed. And I'm like, Susan's, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'm having these Charlie." She says, "Well, why don't you put Icewave on?" I'm like, "Didn't think of that." And she put one on the bottom of each foot. And I'm thinking, "Oh, just leave me alone. I'm trying to sleep." Instantly gone. I had no aches, no pains. But my personal story on the X39 and Eon, I didn't feel anything for 5 weeks. And I said to Susan, "This isn't doing anything to me. Are you feeling anything?" And she was getting results. And I said, and she said, "Well, you're not getting up to use the bathroom 3 to 4 times a night, waking me up." And I'm like, "Oh, you don't miss things like that." That's true. And that's persisted. I don't have to get up. And I was at 67. A lot of guys experience that much earlier than that, even. But then I started feeling energy, and it wasn't a caffeine energy. It's just a stamina. And I'm very diligent about my exercise. I know exactly what I do, how many days a week. So I went from 3 days a week to 7 days a week. Then I doubled what I was doing to prove to myself I couldn't do this with no recovery time. It was absolutely amazing. And then I got some brain benefits, just phenomenal, amazing. And even from month 9 to 12, I was getting tremendous benefits. And I feel like I'm 35 again. So it's exciting for me. But the Ice Wave for pain, phenomenal. You've got to try it. When you get it placed right, it's immediate.
I love that. I love that so much. So, Dr. Don, we're going to talk a little bit about X39 in comparison to X49, how they differ. And then I've got some other questions to piggyback off of these. So can you tell us the difference between 39 and 49?
Well, they're the only 2 patches that deal with these rejuvenating cells in your body. So they're unique in that way. The main difference is the X39 signals or activates a signaling molecule called GHK copper peptide. The X49 activates a signaling molecule called AHK copper peptide. And there are some similarities and overlaps, and they do good things together. But when I think of X49, I think of bones and muscles, mainly strengthening in those areas. And of course, the bone marrow is where the cells of the immune system are formed. So it's a super strengthener there. But originally, David was making it, if my understanding is correct, for athletes, people that really wanted to take their performance to another level. And boy, I didn't try the X49 for a long time. I didn't try it for the whole first year that I've used the patches. And then I thought, well, I'd like to build a little muscle, have stronger bones, And so I did it. And I gained like 7 pounds within the month, within like 20 days, which you say, "Well, I don't want to gain weight." Well, I did. I didn't gain any fat. It didn't. Usually when I gain weight, it's right in the belly. Us guys, we know we have Dunlap disease where your belly Dunlapped over your belt. It goes right there. But it didn't. And I'm gaining weight and it's gaining muscle. It was phenomenal, a significant difference. So they have some similar qualities and other things that they can do. One thing that I like, when you use them together, you get the equivalent of what's called a Faraday cage around your body, which protects you from negative effects of some of the frequencies that aren't so good. For example, our electricity, we got the 60 cycles per second. That's not a good one. There's certain frequencies that are good for your health. Other ones aren't. That's not. And some people are more sensitive to things like that. But when you use those 2 together, you get complete protection. That's just an added bonus. So that's kind of where I think for the comparison to those 2.
I love that. And that was one of the questions that someone had. So that's perfect. You fed right into that. She also asked, does LifeWave patch utilize nanotechnology? If so, what is the safety profile on the nanoparticles used? And is there any scientific backing to support their use in the application? So remembering that this is non-transdermal, so no nanoparticles are entering your body. Dr. Dawn, can you go back over again? She may have missed that. What actually is the mechanism of this patch?
Yeah, it's the same thing as when the UV energy from the sun hits your skin and converts specifically the cholesterol in your skin to vitamin D. That's photobiomodulation, light causing your body to change. This is simply wearable light therapy, but the only thing the patch is using your body for is a battery. It's an energy source. It's the infrared. Because we're 98.6 or around there, we have heat energy coming off us. That's why we can see each other if it's pitch dark, if we've got infrared glasses, because we're giving off heat. This patch media, the organic amino acids, simply pick up that infrared energy and create a very specific wavelength of light that's reflected back in the body. That's what enhances the GHK copper peptides in the X39 or the AHK copper peptide in the X49. And that's what rejuvenates those cells that are restructuring and rebuilding and fighting aging and doing all of those things. So it is non-transdermal. Nothing from the patch is going in the body. There are no particles. It is simply helping your own body to well, it's generating a light wave, and that light wave is what, and that's a natural process. That's what's happening to make vitamin D, which is phenomenal. You need it. It's vitamin D is not just a vitamin, it's a pro hormone. It does so many things. So David Schmidt took this technology and took advantage of that and is, you know, it's like, who would have thought, you know, 20, 30 years ago that we could be standing here and talking to someone on the other side of the world and looking at their face and talking like this. How would you ever do that? Well, how would you ever really reverse aging with a little sticker the size of a Band-Aid on the back of your neck? Well, this is how, because there's so much increase in knowledge and revelation and technology in science. I mean, poisoning yourself to health is not the best approach to health in the long run. I've been doing this a long time, and there are natural alternatives for just about every poison with a desirable side effect, which is what I call a pharmaceutical. I'm a doctor. I'm not your doctor, but I can tell you that. And my specialty is getting people off pharmaceuticals and on to natural alternatives. You can't always do it. I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Some pharmaceuticals can be life-saving, life-changing, but if they're used judiciously, but they're not. Now, everything you go to a doctor for, it's a pill, a potion, a lotion, and it's pharmaceutical and it's poison. And you just don't have to do that. If there was no other way to skin the cat, okay, but there are lots of ways. This is the best, safest, most effective way to take care of anything. Fill in the blank. If you hang around me very long, you'll find out I answer the question the same way every time. What patch should I use for? The answer is X39 and Eon. That's where I start. And then when you need other patches, you can bring them in. Sometimes you don't need any other. Those two do the job.
Yeah, I love that. Love that so much. So let's let's stay on the lines of X39 and talk about when someone has, let's say, for example, an old wound, something's not healing in their body. They have, you know, the chronic issue where things are not, what would you recommend or what would you say to that with your expertise with this?
Yes, I would say for sure this is the best modality to approach that, because you don't have to figure out what's going wrong. There can be a number of things. It can be, well, I could just think of a lot of reasons why that would happen, but you don't have to try to figure it out, because when you wake up your own rejuvenating cells, they can go and start to heal that wound, whatever it may be. The skin is particularly good in the early studies that were done with activating the regenerating cells, because you get new skin every 28 to 45 days. So tissues that are turning over more quickly tend to have quicker results in your body. So skin things happens the same way in the liver. Lauren Picard did the studies on a GHK copper peptide showing powerful liver changes there, because you get a new liver every 6 weeks. You get new cells lining your stomach every 3 to 5 days because of the high acid content there. That's why we see some GI tract things very quickly. But whenever it happens, it is going to happen eventually. Some tissues tend to respond quicker. The skin is one of those. So when you've got skin disorders, get patching.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Wow, there's so many amazing questions in here in the chat. But can you talk a little bit about, people are asking, daytime versus nighttime,
Yeah.
which patches are day, what are night? How can we do that? Can you go
Yeah.
over that part again a little bit more?
Yeah. Yeah, let's start with the dynamic duo. First of all, always wear the X39 rejuvenating patch during the day, because it's going to give you, eventually, it's going to give you sustained balanced energy, not jittery caffeine type of energy, a sustained balanced energy. And you certainly don't want to have that at night, when you're on restoration mode. Now, Eon, you can wear during the day or night. And how I make that decision with people is, if they're dealing with anxiety, I ask them, when are you having the anxiety? Is it at night? Then you could wear it at night. Is it during the day? You can wear it during the day, because as you mentioned, it's the happy patch or the bliss patch. And Eon works by balancing the parasympathetic nervous system. You basically have two nervous systems: the sympathetic fight or flight, get up and go adrenaline system that you need when you're physically active and moving around and you've got stressful things going on. But then you need time for restoration. That's the parasympathetic nervous system. And the Eon patch supports that parasympathetic nervous system. So it's a great thing to help balance anxiety in stressful situations. And I would wear that one whenever the person is struggling with the stress or anxiety.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about water. Let's talk about hydration and cellular hydration, because we know, you know this, you people, the first thing you say is, how much water do you drink? Oh, I drink a lot. And we're like, how much is that? Oh, I'll drink 2 of these a day. And I'm like, that's great if you're like 10 years old. So let's talk about water, Dr. Don. What would you say to people with that?
I love this question, because let's think about, and let's specifically target it toward the patches here. What happens when you wake up a rejuvenating cell in your body, and it's going somewhere, it's waking up in a certain area? How are the nutrients brought to that cell to have this happen? It happens by circulation, and you do need nutrients. And that's an important point too. You not only, of course, you need to stay hydrated. You can only live without water for about 3 days. You can live without food for 7 to 40 days, depending on how good you are at fasting. But you need that water, so you've got to stay hydrated. I recommend take your body weight in pounds, divide that by 2, and your goal is to drink that many ounces of water a day. I'm 160 pounds, so I drink 80 ounces of water a day. That sounds like a lot. When you're first starting, it may feel like that. I know if I don't get up and just get about 40 ounces in right away, I probably won't get it in the rest of the day, and I've got to get the trips to the bathroom over with. But it's very worth doing that. Detoxification is half of the health equation. You detoxify your body, you balance the immune system, and you need hydration and water to do that. A question that comes up with the patches all the time is, do I still need to take supplements? And I answer that and say, well, do you still need to eat? If we put the patch on, you don't have to eat? No, of course you need the nutrients, and you still need nutrients because our soils are depleted. So yes, supplementing, and for sure you need copper, because the GHK copper peptide is a signaling molecule. But by the way, you get that in green leafy vegetables and nuts and seeds, or dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate.
1 square a day. But you need nutrients too. I mean, my book, 10 Keys That Cure, is based on the 10 foundational things for your health, not the only things. In fact, here they are. Learn to relax, get to bed on time, and do your exercise. Breathe fresh air when the sun's out there, and eat like this little rhyme: fruits and vegetables, whole grains, white if you choose meat. Drink what you're mostly made of. Water makes your health complete. That's foundational for your health. You still need to deal with stress. You still need to exercise to move immune fluids. And the patches work better when you're doing all of those things. They'll still work if you're not doing those things, but they won't work as well. They won't work as quickly and as effectively. So you still need to do the common sense things to keep your body healthy. I mean, I went to medical school thinking I was going to learn about healthcare, and I learned disease care, which is fine. If you have a disease, we need, if you break your leg or have a heart attack, don't come to me for natural alternatives. Get to the hospital and get what you need. And you're going to need some pharmaceuticals to get through it. Like I say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But you do not need to have a pharmaceutical for everything that you deal with. We can almost do everything in a natural sense that we can do pharmaceutically now, but you've got to know, you've got to learn about it. And I've been doing this a long time, never seen anything like the patches. They're foundational. I won't go a day without my X39 and Eon.
I love that. So let's piggyback off of that because they're asking questions about glutathione. Can you talk about glutathione? We know X39 does elevate it about 30%, but dive a little bit deeper into that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited to share this. So glutathione is my favorite antioxidant. What's an antioxidant? Antioxidants are things that fight free radical damage. What is that? They're little Tasmanian devils that go around your body, tearing up tissues and making you older. And the antioxidants are the ACEs, vitamin A, C, E, the trace mineral, selenium. Wonderful. You got to have them. Vitamin C, let's just talk about that one. It's essential. That means your body can't make it. Your dog and your cat, by the way, make vitamin C, but you don't. I don't know why God set it up that way, but he did. So you have to get it in your diet. But it works by donating an electron, because that's how you stop a free radical. A free radical lacks an electron. That's why it's tearing stuff up. When you give it an electron, it calms down. But when that vitamin C molecule gives its electron up, it's useless. So however many molecules of the vitamin C you have, they get used once and they're done. Unless you have glutathione present. Glutathione gives it back to the vitamin C to let it be used over and over. And very few people are taking enough vitamin C or E or trace minerals, selenium, those things. But if you're taking glutathione, it will help to rejuvenate that vitamin C. Now, your liver makes glutathione. So you say, oh, I'm covered then, right? Well, you were when you were 10 years old, but as you get older, you don't make as much. So the dosage that I've used in the past, that I would say a full dose of glutathione is maybe 500 milligrams. The half-life of glutathione is only 7.5 minutes. That means if I give it to you orally or in an IV, 7.5 minutes later, you only got 250 milligrams left. 7.5 minutes after that, so 15 minutes in, you've only got 125. 20 minutes in, you've got 67. In 2 hours, you don't have any glutathione left. That's giving it as a supplement. The glutathione patch, and this is paradigm shift. This is groundbreaking. This is health-changing information. The glutathione patch is clinically studied and shown to increase your own level of glutathione by 300%, and the effect lasts for 24 hours. So if you're wearing a patch properly, which I know you are, 12 hours on, 12 hours off, you get a consistent 300% higher level of glutathione. Let me just say this one more sentence. I could say a lot more, but the blue zones are where people consistently live to over 100 years of age. There's about 5 of them in the world: the Greek islands, and Sardinia, Italy, and Loma Linda, California, in Costa Rica. Those places they studied, and guess what they found out? Those people have the highest level of glutathione. Wow. So whether you're in they're called blue zones, but whether you're in a red state or a blue state or a green state or whatever, you can be in a blue zone when you're wearing your glutathione patch. I love that patch. And it's a detoxifier, which I said earlier is half of the health equation. Detoxification means keeping toxins from getting in and removing, more importantly, toxins that are already in your body. The glutathione specifically supports the SOD, superoxide dismutase cascade of enzymes that are the super detoxifier of your body, keeping it clean on the inside. So there's so many things we could say about glutathione. That would be, if I was going to say the terrific 3, I guess, it would be adding glutathione to my X39 and to my Eon. And I mean, I have all 3 of those on right now.
I love that. Me too. And an extra one right here so you can see it. All right, Dr. Don, excellent answers. I love how thorough you are with your details. So people are asking about placement. Where do I put the X39? Where do I put the 49? Where do I put the Eon? Which ones can I put where? I always just go to my belly button and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever patches I'm wearing. They're just going to go right in a row down below my belly button. I'm not worried about trying to put them all over the body and stuff like that. I've done different placements. I never noticed any changes changing them. Some people do, but I'm just stick them on down my belly button, and I just pull them off at one time at night, and then I stick my Alavita there. So, and I always keep one up here so you guys can see it when I'm zooming all day long. I don't know which one it is. I just grab whatever's out of my bag. It doesn't really matter. But I want you to talk to them because some people really are focused. Like people are saying, well, what if it's 2 inches below or 1 inch or above?
Yeah.
Or what if
Yeah.
it's here? Or does it have to be in the sunlight part that my skin's exposed to? Can I put it in the dark part? So tell us about placement, Dr. Don.
Yes. Well, if you know how the tech works, this is a biotech company. If you know how the technology works, you'll know that it will work anywhere on your skin. Now, I wouldn't put it over my knuckle because the first time you bend your finger, it's going to stretch and fall off. I mean, there's some places that I just wouldn't do because it's not going to stay on as well. Or I wouldn't put it on the end of my nose, I guess, but it would work anywhere there's skin in your body. And when I tell people put it on C7 for the X39, which I do, there are reasons, and there are physiologic reasons for the energy meridian and the acupuncture points for especially ones like SP6, for example. There's a reason to put them in specific areas, but I totally agree with you. It will work anywhere in the body, but the clinicals were done with X39 on C7. Now, people say, what if I get a little too low, a little too high? It doesn't matter. You can put it in the middle of your back, halfway down. It will be just fine. So just the important thing is wear the patch. I'll guarantee you it doesn't work unless you wear it.
I love that. That is right. It does not work unless you put it on every day until all the things are crossed off your list, right? I love that you're stressing that. So this is something I know you love to talk about, Dr. Don. Let's talk about obesity. Do the patches help? What patches, any patches, will they help if we need to get our weight under control? Because you're not going to live long if you're overweight. We know that. So talk to us about obesity.
Yeah. Yes, I love this question too. And of course, I'm always going to start. It's just what I do because I believe in them so much, the dynamic duo, X39 and Eon, and they're going to support, for example, thyroid function. Thyroid determines metabolism, the rate at which you burn calories. It's going to help support pancreas, which is what makes insulin and digestive enzymes, and insulin helps regulate blood sugar. And if you have a lot of blood sugar in your blood, it's going to get stored as fat. And that's a whole part of that picture. But specifically, so I would start there, and that may be fine for some people. I'd give it a couple months and see what happens. If you want further support than that or quicker results, I would highly recommend the SP6. That is, I don't know if it's my fourth favorite patch. I probably like carnosine better, but I don't know. I love SP6 because last Christmas I gained 17 pounds, and my kid's favorite picture was where Dr. Don looked like he was 4 months pregnant in the red pajamas Susan bought for all of us. But so I had a little extra belly there. And I thought, well, all right, I'd like to get some support there. And SP6 is glandular support. It supports all your organs, but specifically the thyroid, for example, which has to do with the rate at which you burn calories, your metabolism, which most people have when your metabolism slows as you get older. So you need support there. It also helps the adrenal glands. If you're stressed out, those adrenal glands give up, and then your cortisol level goes up, and cortisol causes your body to accumulate what I call toxic belly fat. So you need support for the adrenals. SP6 does that. The pancreas is a gland. It supports that, which the islets of Langerhans, the specific cell in your pancreas that makes insulin that helps blood sugar stay in balance. So now we're not making any blood sugar claims, but we can support the organ in your body that helps to maintain normal blood sugar. And then what are the other glands, the ovaries, hormonal balance, even with SP6. I love that patch. So I would certainly use that. And you can use these all together. You could use, when I was using SP6, I had X39 on C7. I had E on an inch below my belly button. And I had glutathione on my right foot between my big toe and first toe and second toe. Yep. And, or on your hand. And then I put the SP6 in the spot, which is on the left leg by the, just above the ankle on the inside toward the shin, or on the knee area in that same leg. Those are specific, it's a spleen point, I believe, and that's why it's called SP6. But that thing, I wore it, and I lost, and I don't recommend people lose more than 1 to 2 pounds a week, because it's not usually sustainable. If you do it, you're crash dieting or doing something, and I want you to make changes. I'd rather have you lose 1 pound a month for 4 years if you're 50 pounds overweight than, crash diet, lose it, you're going to gain it back. And that's harder, yo-yo dieting. But I didn't even use it for a whole month, and I lost like 10 pounds. And Susan's like, "Where's my SP6?" And I said, "Well, I'm using them." She goes, "You don't need that." And I said, "All right, thank you. I don't look pregnant anymore." And so I wasn't allowed to use them for a whole month, and I didn't need it for a whole month. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I love that. Well, on placement, say it again, because they're asking it on placement for SP6. I was looking for my instruction booklet, and it's not
go to
when
you get whatever sleeve you get. And this is the important part. Whatever sleeve you get, there's a cute little book in it with a bunch of stuff. All you gotta do is turn to the back page and look. You see the side of the body, the part of the body, just put it there. But the truth is, SP6 will work anywhere on the body.
I love that. Thank you. All right, let's talk about acid reflux, people having, those digestion issues. So what would we say to that, Dr. Don?
Well, there's two things going on there physiologically. First of all, the lower esophageal sphincter. A sphincter is a round muscle, like your mouth is a sphincter. And then when you swallow, there's a sphincter just before, down the esophagus, just before the stomach starts. There's a tight sphincter that has to stay tight because the high acid content in your stomach. And if that sphincter isn't working properly, the acid from your stomach leaks up into your lower esophagus and causes esophagitis, or GERDs, gastrointestinal, GER, reflux disease. It means the acid's going back up in your esophagus where it's not supposed to be, because you don't have the integrity of that sphincter. That round muscle's not holding tight enough. Now, why is that? It could be an intrinsic thing with muscle. It could be the innervation that's telling the muscle when to hold and when to let go. And so, well, which one is it? It doesn't matter, because X39 can make cells that are actual muscle cells of the lower esophageal sphincter, and it can help with the innervation of telling those muscles when to go. So yes, and the beautiful thing about that is there's a lot of the GI tract tissue turns over quickly, so people get pretty quick results. And of course, you got to do the prudent things, like don't lay down after you eat, and certain spicy foods are going to cause a problem with gastrointestinal reflux disease. But don't fall for the pharmaceutical antacids that shut your stomach acid off. I can take the symptoms away of GERDs, and you think I'm a hero. Oh, it's wonderful. But I had to shut your stomach acid pump off to do it. Now you can't absorb minerals and you can't digest your food. So you get a short-term gain, long-term liability. Not wise, not a great approach. So you got to figure out what's wrong and deal with the cause. So that's what you're doing when you're patching, and doing the other prudent things that you need to do. Don't lay down after you eat. Don't do a bunch of exercise right after you eat. And let gravity work for you instead of against you, and stay away from certain spicy foods. Sometimes cause the problem. Don't eat late at night.
No, you should be fasting anyways. You should definitely have a window where you're not eating a good, at least 12 hours, 12 to 16 hours with no food. Give that digestion. I love how you said, if you don't have the money for the badges, fast a meal, right? Yes. Right? Intermittent fasting. I've been doing that for the last 10 plus years.
You don't have to fast, Dr. Stacy. You get to. It's one of the most powerful healing modalities on its own. even without patches and nutrition and all the other things, fasting's healthy. What about with all these things? They synergize, they work together. That's why I feel like I'm 35 again. I really do. I wouldn't say that if I didn't. I feel like my career, my life, my ministry has been rejuvenated because it has.
Yeah,
I
love
feel good.
that. I love that. Oh my gosh, I can hear you right now singing that. Okay, last question. We only have 3 minutes. So lots of questions in here about kidney function. Okay, so kidney function. Tell me what you know with our patches. Of course, we're X39 and Eon, but what would you say in regards to that?
Yeah. Well, kidneys, the task of the kidneys is to take the blood and filter it and take the toxins out of the blood. And that's how you make urine. And you remove the urine, comes out of your body. And that's a constant thing that has to happen. I mean, without kidney function, you don't last very long. Although kidneys are pretty resilient and they turn over. For example, if you donate a kidney, the other kidney that's left behind grows twice its size. So kidneys are very responsive to rejuvenating and those kinds of things. And that's how this mechanism works. So X39 and Eon, great kidney support because the kidneys are rejuvenating themselves all the time anyway. I would start there, but certainly because it's an organ, SP6 might be a possibility there too. And always had glutathione because you want to keep free radical damage down and you want to be in a blue zone. You want to live to be 100 plus. And you want to add not just years to your life, but life to your years. I want to die, as Dr. Stan says, with my boots on, not my diapers on.
I love it. Oh my gosh, Dr. Don, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. We maxed this out the whole time at 500 people. So I apologize for those of you that had guests that were trying to come on and watch it. I promise you, the second I hit stop and turn this off, it will immediately start uploading to my YouTube channel and we will get it live immediately so you can share this with everyone. Dr. Don, this has been a huge, huge, huge benefit. You've added so much value to so many people. What are some of the last things you would like to say to everyone on here tonight and those that are watching the replay? Because there's going to be thousands and thousands of people see this.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question because I believe that physicians and friends and pastors and anyone only has one thing to offer to their family members and friends and clients and patients, and that is hope. And I'm telling you, I've never seen a modality like this that gives people so much hope because it's so powerful. Its potential is literally unlimited. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. Your body is created to rejuvenate and to correct problems and take care of business on its own, but it needs a little help along the way. It needs some water. It needs some food. It needs some nutrients. It needs some stress relief. It needs some physical activity, exercise. It needs some sleep. It needs all these things, and it needs rejuvenation and reverse aging of the anti-aging system of your body, these regenerative cells that we can clinically show. This is the future in anti-aging science, in reverse aging science, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. Share it with everyone you know. If they're not sick and they don't want to get sick, they need it. But if you know somebody that's fighting with something, wake up their own body, let their own body do the work.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Don. Such powerful information, powerful messages you shared tonight. I'm so grateful for you. I appreciate you even more so today than I ever have, and I always have. I love you and appreciate you so much and all you do, and your wonderful wife, Susan, as well, too. Right there with you. I know she's going, you got this. So thank you so much, Dr. Don, for taking the time
Thank
to be
you.
here tonight.
My pleasure.
And I will see you soon.
All
Thank
right.
you
God
all for
bless.
being here. Get back with the person that invited you. They're going to help you get set up with anything that you need. You guys have a fantastic evening.